Hey guys, I'm Davey Wavey, creator of the gay erotic website Himeros.tv, and today I am joined by my best friend Matthew Thomas and sex and intimacy coach Finn Dearhart. And today, you're already giggling. We are talking about the final episode of Journeys. It is the end of an era, guys. It's over.
It was so good.
For now.
A month of our lives, 28 days, 4 loads. Two ugly cries, so many bodily fluids spilled.
One death.
Yeah, hearts open. Lives changed. How do you measure a season of Journeys?
Oh, yes.
Let's get started.
Okay.
Also, this is episode 69. Hey.
Oh.
Himeros Live is sponsored by Himeros.tv. At Himeros Live, we love porn, but unlike traditional porn, Himeros.tv increases your pleasure by sharing powerful tools and techniques to have better gay sex. It's porn that is good for you. Himeros.tv is the world's largest collection of sexually ecstatic videos with authentic man-on-man action. Best of all, the videos are co-created with a team of gay sex experts so you can have the best gay sex of your life. You'll get off and get inspired. Join the gay porn revolution and save 20% at himeros.tv/pod. Himeros.tv, it's like porn, but better. Yeah, so you just had to go for it. What's funny is there's a what do they call it? Like a pilot that this company is putting together. They're working with me on. It's about sex and being gay, and anyway, they had me record some voiceover for it, and so I did it like a bunch of different ways, but they sent me an email today and they were like, can you try doing it where it's like, they're like, your voice sounds really erotic. Can you like tone that down and just speak like a normal person? Because I think I was doing my hey guys, welcome to him. I was doing that like sultry voice.
Yeah.
They weren't into it.
Have you ever considered being like a phone sex operator?
Yeah, if this whole thing doesn't work out, that's my backup plan. But I'm going to be it as a woman because everyone thinks I'm a female. So I'll just talk to the guys. I'll be like, yeah, my pussy's so wet right now.
Yeah. I actually know. So I know a guy, one of my friends actually, who used to have phone sex with straight guys and pretended that he was a woman. He like really got into it and enjoyed it, and
like he would catfish them, or he did this as a business.
No, he would like catfish them.
Wow,
yeah, like his like thing.
Can we have him on?
Yeah, that'd be good. Is that immoral? Like, is that because
no? No, because you know what? The people that are, I used to have lots of phone sex. I'll just disclose that. Nobody's really being them. Like, you're not telling your real name. You're not telling like your real stats. I'm sure I was talking to like all kinds of people that I didn't know that I was talking to. Yeah, I think the entire thing is walking into fantasy.
How is he like? How do you find these? Like, how does that even happen? How does that get set up?
Craigslist.
Like,
yeah.
Was that how?
Well, when I did this, it was like, 1999, 2000, 2001. It was like when like there were like a lot more chat rooms and things. I don't know about these days, but this was like a while back for me and this friend. Same with him. It was like
now he has like a Tinder profile, like a fraudulent Tinder.
Totally.
And he's like, hey, you know what really gets me off?
Right.
Let's chat on the phone. And then they try to FaceTime your ass. And
then they like drop the phone.
If he really wants to get into it, he does it in like drag. He puts on like a wig and like a full face so he can
right.
Anyway. How are you guys doing today? What's going on?
Finn?
Well,
you were tapping away a minute ago.
I think I was typing about a coffee date on my text.
I've never heard someone type as ferociously as Finn Dearhart. And the look on his face was so intense.
So serious.
Who's this coffee date with?
Yeah, no, with my friend. She's a girl.
Ew.
I can't like call out her name. Like she and I haven't. She's a really awesome circus performer, and I love her, and I haven't got to hang out with her in a long time.
The most eccentric friend. They're circus performer.
Dude, she is fucking dynamite. She's amazing.
Let's just have all your friends come on as like
right?
rotating, like a carousel of special guests.
Yeah, so I mean, I am doing really well. I've been really busy. Actually, really loving my client, like full client load recently, and I've been having a lot of fun too. I'm taking time off and doing really fun little trips, and getting love mail and hate mail both. That was like kind of threw me off today. I got this like really nasty message today on Facebook, and I was like, I haven't talked to this person in like 8 years, and they're like, you're such a hypocrite. You have this platform that's all about love, and then I have reached out to you and I haven't heard from you. And I was just like, what are you talking about? It's bizarre. So that kind of threw me off, but
yeah, I get a lot of those on Grindr. If I don't respond to someone, like immediately they'll just start messaging me about how I'm like a hypocrite and like how I like preach being a good person or something. I'm like, I actually don't really preach that, but
you're like, I don't preach anything like that.
Yeah. Nor do I pretend that I am one if you've ever listened to any podcast. So well, that is nice. Matt, what's going on in your life?
Not a thing. I'm just happy that the week is over. I'm not working tomorrow. I'm not working again till Tuesday, really kind of actually Wednesday. So I'm just excited to enjoy the next couple of days off to do whatever the fuck I want. I don't know what that is, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you going anywhere?
I might go see a friend, meet them halfway in Connecticut on Saturday. But other than that, I have no plans.
Okay. Yeah, I know it was kind of in the cards that we might do something, but I'm going to see you in like 2 weeks on our retreat coming up. So
It's so awesome.
Yeah, my heart, my mind, my soul, I am ready.
I'm not, but you know, hey,
what's coming up for you?
Everything that the way that you described the place the last time it came up.
Beautiful.
No,
it was prepared for you.
I just no, you know, I actually am really excited for it. I'm also a little bit nervous because I've never been a part of seeing it in action. I've always been a part of everything after the fact and just talking about the finished product. So I'm excited and I'm also nervous because it's like, oh my gosh, like I don't ever want to have a bad reaction. I don't ever want to say the wrong thing. And, you know, I just want to be in the background as much as I can be and help out as much as Dave wants me to. For me, it's like, don't fuck it up. Don't fuck it up.
I'm so excited that you're going to be there.
I'm excited for 2 reasons. I think like I'm excited because of course, like this is what I do. This is my career. And so it's really fun to share that with my best friend and for Matt to like really see it in action. We talk about it all the time, but like to really, really see it. I think that's really fun. But also I think just personally for you, Matt, like I think it's just going to be interesting. I'm hoping that you get something out of it. And like, I feel like it has the potential to make some sort of impact on your life.
I think it will. I think I'll walk away with something. I think that I'm going to enjoy it more than I'd like to admit, but I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, can I offer a suggestion?
Absolutely.
Not like an expertise or anything, but it's just like, you know, when I've gone in situations feeling like I've got all these like, and mental thoughts about it, just kind of like letting go of any kind of expectation and, you know, just acknowledging like, yeah, if I can feel nervous, whatever, let's see what happens. And just, you know, dropping all that. And then it gets really surprising sometimes and can just be really cool.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, of course, like be present, enjoy yourself, and just take it for what it is. I'm just like, what am I walking into? Like, what is about to happen?
Yeah. For people that don't know what we're talking about, in a couple of weeks, Matt and I are going to be at a Tantric Retreat that we're hosting for folks. We kind of had this whole process where people could apply, and we're going to be filming erotic content for Himeros.tv. And it's non-porn stars. It's just people who are excited and passionate about doing this. And Matt and I are going to record each day. And I was thinking of like having us post our experience in near real time on the podcast. I think what we're going to do is record, whenever we get downtime, and then it's all going to be edited together. Dominique, who does our podcast, is going to edit it with like actual audio clips from some of the heart circles and from some of the events that are going on. So it's going to be almost like an audio documentary that people are going to listen to, like a 3-part documentary or something like that.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So
it's going to be fun.
It will be fun. It'll be a good time. So yeah,
you might end up facilitating, Matthew.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Finn, is there anything else going on in your life? I feel like you've been up to some stuff.
Like, what do you mean? I'm up to all kinds of shit constantly.
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like whenever we briefly connect, we always say, "Oh yeah, let's talk about that more on the podcast." And then, no.
Okay. Is this a leading question, Your Honor?
I thought you had something to share. Yeah.
No. I went camp. You talking about my camping trip?
I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I have a test for my ethics class this weekend. I'm writing constantly. I went camping with Sam and Chris. Is that what you're?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I went camping with them. It was amazing. At some hot springs. It was a super magical time.
Okay.
I didn't realize you were in school.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's Modern Sex Therapy Institutes, and it's I do it at my own pace, and I have supervision with a couple of sex therapists, and it's really fun and it's kind of challenging, and one more thing on my plate.
we have a really good sex therapy question tonight in the lineup. Did you see that came in? About the person who likes being called faggot.
Yeah. I'm totally excited about that.
Also,
and I'm with you. I like being called a faggot by the right person.
So I just got back yesterday from my 5-night trip to London, which was very fun. I always think it's funny because I travel a lot for work in general, just like when we're filming stuff. And I always forget how much fun it is to travel not for work. I'm always like, wow, like it's really fun to just enjoy myself and go out to eat and spend time with interesting people and like hang out with the occasional twink. So I stayed at the Goring Hotel, which is like right next to Buckingham Palace. And it's this like really gorgeous, like super high-end hotel. It's where Kate Middleton spent the night before her wedding. And when I stay at places that are really nice like this, it just reminds me of like how trashy I am. Like I'll go to breakfast and like it just, well, first of all, like no one talks to each other. There's all these like rich, pretentious couples that just sit across from each other in silence. And they're so, it's funny to me that people want to become rich because like the rich people that I see and like the rich people that I know are really fucking miserable. Like they, I mean, it's like obviously you want to have your basic needs met. Like that's important, putting food on the table. But like, I read this article about luxury travel and how, what it's really about is like if you're traveling in luxury, you're always comfortable. Whether you're in like first class, you get like you're just pampered and everything's very comfortable for you. And that in actuality, like the most memorable experiences that we have in life are rarely comfortable. It's those moments where you like get stuck with the shitty rental car and it like breaks down. You have to change the tire, or like you're on vacation and the island gets hit by like a tropical cyclone thing or something. And so it was fun to stay at a hotel that was like this glamorous and this ritzy, but I also want to like it was fun to do as a special treat, but I want to make sure that I keep adventure and spontaneity, alive for myself.
Totally.
So and also the concierge watches my YouTube videos. So that was really fun. And he was like giving me all the tea of like what's happened at the hotel. And it's cute. My big thing was I wanted to see the crown jewels. I don't know what, I've just gone down this rabbit hole on YouTube of like the history of like the diamonds, and there's this really funny YouTube video where they're interviewing the queen and she's holding the crown in front of her, the one that she like typically wears, and she goes, I'm not going to be able to do the voice, but she's like, people forget that diamonds are stones, and stones in fact are quite heavy.
Oh God!
Like, forget fucking like first world problems.
Yeah. And like 10 children died to produce your fucking crown.
Yeah, like royalty problems. And can you imagine, like, who has ever said, like, oh, you know, I really like this diamond ring, but my issue is just the diamond is just too heavy.
Right.
Like the idea that you have so much fucking diamonds that they're heavy.
Right.
Oh my God.
She's just got this crumpled brow. Scowling.
Yeah. It like hurts her neck because there's so many goddamn diamonds on it.
So did you get to see them?
I did. You sit on this moving platform and
oh God.
It just like whisks you by as you see the front door. And the one I really wanted to see was the scepter. And that one has I think it was called like the Star of Africa. It was this like, girl, you ready for this? I think it was 3,300 carat diamond.
What?
That they found in Africa.
How big is that? Like, but if you like what do you do with your hands? Like a baseball? Like Jesus.
I think it was like a football, and they cut it into smaller diamonds that are all like perfect. So there's like, I think 9 or 7 smaller diamonds, and most of them are in the crown jewels. But the biggest one, I think this is correct in saying this, is in the scepter, and it's like the size of a fucking like small fist. And you look at it, you're like, oh, that's not a diamond. No, bitch, it's a diamond, and it's like a perfect, beautiful diamond.
You know what blows my? Go ahead.
No, go for it.
Well, it blows my mind, you know, because I think they're beautiful and all, but like thinking anthropologically, we decide the worth of these things where I'm like, you know, to someone else, it's like, oh, well, it's just a fucking shiny rock. If I can care, it's like, why is that worth like billions of dollars?
It's all marketing. It's like De Beers and like things, and it's all just fucking like, it's all just made up. It's all imaginary.
Everybody's agreeing to that, you know, and like to someone else, it's like, okay, I want
to put it up my ass. I want to put that like giant ass scepter up my ass.
Do you know how much they say it's worth?
I did actually Google this in like what the value of the diamonds are from that rock, and it was like several $billion of
oh my God.
Wow.
Do you know that have I ever mentioned this? I know someone that has $1 million cock ring. He actually has 2.
No.
He spent $1 million in diamonds around his cock ring.
Wow. Have you seen Is he impotent though?
I don't know. I feel like I can't remember if I saw it or not. It was a long time ago. I was like 21. And I in my mind I can see it, but I don't know if that's just because I like have told the story so many times that, do you know what I mean? I can't. But he had, and what does $1 million worth of diamonds even look like?
Is this Colorado?
Yeah, he lives in Colorado.
How is it I never knew this part of the story?
Yeah, and not only did he go to like Tiffany and like, oh, I want this like custom ring, and like, oh, okay, what finger? And he's like, my dick. I want $1 million of diamonds around my dick. So when I fuck people, I think they're being fucked by $1 million.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, yeah. Compensations or what?
I don't know, girl.
But I love that you said that you're trashy.
Oh,
that's what I totally can relate. I'm so trashy.
I had a t-shirt on that has a woman with her tits out that's like being strangled by she's strangling a giant like snake. It's just very like phallic. And I wore that through the lobby, forgetting that was even on the shirt. It's on the back of the shirt. And like they just about kicked me out of no, they were very sweet, but I was out of place. Yeah, I'm very trashy.
Well, there is more to catch up in my personal life, but we'll have to just not talk about that on air. We'll just talk about that offline.
Okay. All right, we'll do that.
Okay.
I'm happy to say that I hooked up with a British twink while I was in London, and in the fancy hotel, I was trashy in the lap of luxury, and we had room service, tea, and lunch in my hotel room, and they like brought up flowers and like teapots, and it was just like the most elegant, lovely lunch. And I'm very glad that he lives in London, because I feel like if he lived closer, I'd find it very difficult to uphold my promise to myself, each other, and the listeners that I'm only going to date guys closer to my own age, because girl, the sparks were a flying.
But here's a question. Can't you have like a younger boyfriend and like a man that you date that's more close to your age to have multiple needs met, and it'd be more of like a poly?
It's an interesting suggestion. I've never like entertained for myself the idea of polyamory, but maybe, yeah.
Because it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. You really love younger guys in a certain way, and I'm sure that you like who you are in those relationships. It's different, and you could have both, especially since as independent as you are.
Yeah.
And could have, people that have really independent lives that can be really successful for, because they don't have to have like a constant overlap of relationship going on,
Yeah, no, it's I'm intrigued by the prospect. Yeah, because after we had sex, he just like laid his head down on my chest, and like, oh my God, I just felt like, my aspirations to be a daddy, I was lactating. It was just, it was perfect. So in conclusion, London it was lovely. I enjoyed the trip. It was nice to kind of take a break from work. There's a lot of foreskin. All around, it was fabulous. So, all right, I have a big announcement.
We're riveted. Tell us.
So we're going to be doing a Tantric Retreat that's open to the general public. This is going to be an in-person retreat. And we're going to have 50 spots available. So it's going to be 50 tickets. And it's going to be at Easton Mountain in upstate New York around this time next year with Jason Tantra. It's not going to be the only opportunity that we're going to have for folks to participate in a retreat, but it's about a year's off, and we want to give people enough time to really plan. So the dates are, in case you're interested in putting this in your calendar, it's Tuesday, October 13th. This is 2020 to Sunday, October 20th, 2020. So it's a Tuesday to Sunday. Tuesday's the arrival day. Sunday's the departure day. So again, not this October, but next October. Save the date. It's only 50 people. We're first going to open it up to Himeros.tv members once tickets go on sale, which will probably be within a few weeks. And then any spots that don't sell out, we're going to have available for podcast listeners.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Stay tuned for that.
That's like the same format that we did with Jason's retreat just recently. The Tuesday through Sunday thing is cool.
Yeah, he said that. He said that it really works well. It's like the perfect length of time for people. And if you want to extend your trip, you can extend it a few days, but it's like a very manageable chunk of time for folks to be engaged.
Awesome.
I like. This actually came together pretty fast, because we were just talking about this not too long ago.
Yeah. I think we're also going to do a virtual retreat for folks that can't attend somewhere in person. Finn and I have been chatting about that. But obviously getting somewhere in person takes a little bit more planning. People have to get time off of work, find flights.
So question, is this like an overlap of the virtual and the in-person? Like
this will just be an in-person retreat. Yeah. Yeah. We're not filming it. That's a great question, because I think it's going to be really important to respect people's privacy. I assume that not everyone that attends is going to be fully out. So we're not filming it. There's no erotic content. It's just really, it's totally going to be off the internet grid for folks. It's just going to be about them and their experience.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome.
Cool. All right. Hot topics. I sent you guys an article today about it. So there's this director. It's the guy who directed Batman and Robin. If you guys remember that from like 1997, his name is Joel Schumacher, I think is how you pronounce his last name. So he was recently interviewed, and he said that he had sex. He's an older guy, I'd say probably like in his 70s. He said he had sex with 10,000 or 20,000 men, which is also funny to me because that's a pretty big margin of error. It's a margin of error of 10,000 men. Like, also, I get it.
Right.
And I also I knew he was the director of Batman and Robin. I didn't know he was gay, but it makes so much sense because have you guys seen Batman and Robin?
Yeah.
With Chris O'Donnell?
Yeah.
And George Clooney?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I remember that one scene where
so many Batmans.
They finally, Robin gets his costume and there's like this flash of like his ass in the latex. That's immediately makes me think that.
Yeah. And the costumes that they had all had nipples.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
So pull up your Google right now and Google Chris, and everyone at home do this too. Google Chris O'Donnell Robin.
Chris O'Donnell.
Yeah.
O apostrophe Donnell. Yeah.
Yeah. Donnell, I think.
Robin. I want to see his ass.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay. So images. Yeah.
Yeah. And looking images.
Oh, wow.
It's like, this is like when I knew I was gay. Girl, it's so gay.
Oh, wow.
I was like 14 years old looking at this outfit.
Alicia Silverstone. I forgot about that. I loved her.
Yeah. Like, isn't that ridiculously gay?
It is.
It's like gay cosplay.
Totally looks like an outfit you would wear to a party in San Francisco.
He's a good superhero, for sure.
Yeah. And like those nipples are just like begging to be like sucked and twisted and tasted and licked. And
can we talk about Alicia Silverstone?
No,
I want to be her.
In this article, when I saw this article, I was like, oh my God, I immediately scrolled down to the comments, both out of like curiosity, but mostly fear. I was like, I wonder what people are going to write. And actually, most of them were kind of like, well, yeah, I guess that is kind of feasible considering his age. And if you start to do the math, right, like a person a day, and probably he did a lot of orgies and sex parties. He talks about like Fire Island in like the 60s and 70s. This is all like pre-AIDS. Like those numbers start to add up. But anyway, so one of the really bad comments that stood out was Schumacher mistakenly thinks that most gay men are like the immoral, promiscuous types that he socializes with. Nothing could be further from the truth. And so it's just like, what's with the assumption that being promiscuous means that you're amoral, right? Like, I enjoy being a slut, and yet I am also very much concerned with what is right and what's wrong. It's like, he didn't say he raped 10,000 people. He said he had sex with 10,000 people.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with having sex with 10,000 people that want to have sex with you?
Right. And then the assumption of morality based on like how many people you're having sex with. If you're having sex with one person for your entire life, but you're an asshole, that's more amoral than being an ethical person and having sex with people and communicating and connecting.
Right. Like the number of sex partners you have is just neutral, right? Like it can be healthy, it can be unhealthy. It depends on a lot of things.
Right.
Is he doing it as like an expression of some sort of addiction? Is it like, is he searching for something that he can't find, or is he doing it because it's an expression of love and connection, and that like it's about pleasure? I don't know. Like, I don't know him, but like that number in and of itself doesn't give you information about the morality of that human being.
I'm still stuck on 10 to 20,000. Like, when did you have time to direct Batman and Robin? How did you do that?
And just the 10,000 person variant. That's what's so weird to me.
That's a lot. It's a lot of people. Like, I'm just trying to think, like, how, like, even if I wanted to, like,
well,
where does one have the time?
Well, so think I have a friend of mine who lives in LA, and I'm assuming this director probably lives in LA, and he has money, and he's good looking. He has money, he has power, he has influence. So my friend who lives in LA says he has sex with a guy a day.
Okay.
And that's 365 guys a year.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's 3,600 guys per decade.
Mm-hmm.
Over the course of 30 years, there's your 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy's 70. And this director is 70. And you've got to assume that in a lot of these situations, he's not having sex with one-on-one. He could be going to a sex party and having sex with 10 guys at once.
I guess that's true. That's a good point. That's a good
bathhouses, like a lot of his life was in periods of time where bathhouses were really popular. You could leave your door open. It's called being a cum dump, girl. It's a cum dump.
You know,
God bless him.
I have a client that was telling me about his time in San Francisco. He moved here during like the bathhouse zenith, and there were nights that he said you would be in a room that was completely black and you could not see anything, but there's just people like it's like groping and touching and fucking, and it's just like this like mass of moving men. And on some levels I was excited to hear that, and on some levels like horrified too, you know, thinking like, oh my God, but like what is happening in that space? But something about the deep animal root there is pretty interesting to me.
Yeah. And never were you like, oh, he's so immoral.
No. I mean, it's tapping into like a shamanic kind of experience in a way. And it's just, you have no idea who you're touching. It's not about like projection at that point. It's about your internal experience. You can't even see anything.
I would just want to know if he enjoyed it. Like, was it mostly good sex for him?
Of these 10,000, like how many?
Yeah. Like did he actually enjoy it? I mean, if he did, great. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Right.
But I'd be curious to know more.
I agree with that.
So when I was in London, I think it was when I had tea with actually in the Goring Hotel. I had tea with Gabriel Cross, who's one of the porn stars that we worked with in Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like living for it because we were just talking about like cum and like sluts, and like we're just having these, you know, terrifically
gauche.
And I think this was when it came up, but I was talking about like hooking up with young guys versus older guys, and the better sex I've had, like it's almost always been with older guys that like they're a lot more experienced. Like I hooked up with a guy in Palm Springs not too long ago who was, I think, probably in his like mid to late 40s, and I think he had lied about his Grindr profile. He had said he was a bit younger than that, and his pictures were a little bit like probably old. But he was still sexy, and I was attracted to him, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna do this anyway, even though it's a little bit outside my comfort zone. And he fucked me so well. Like it was such good dick. Like, and I was just like, man, like there are not twinks that fuck me like this. This is like I fucking get it at some level, but so yeah,
I think of how long it takes to come into your own, you know, like to know what your desires are, to know when you're being kind of phony versus like being your authentic self, and how hot it is when somebody's just themselves. And I think when you're younger, it's just hard to know yourself anyway. It's not that it's bad or anything. It just kind of takes time.
and it wasn't even just he did know himself. Yeah, like I totally got that sense. Like he's very confident, not confident enough to send me accurate pictures of himself, but confident nonetheless. Wow. But it was more also like technique. Like he knew how to open me up. And he had a fat fucking dick too. Oh my God, I'm like horny now. I need to like.
Would you sleep with him again?
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah. Lightning doesn't always strike twice though, girl. We'll see.
You're so corny.
I love it.
All right. Well, let's talk about this week's Himeros.tv video, shall we?
Let's get to it.
All right.
Okay.
So this week's video is titled Acceptance, and it is episode 4 of Journeys. and it's on Himeros.tv. You can log on to see a free fancy preview. This is the season finale. So, as I've mentioned, this is a series that, excuse me, that was the burp, explores one man's experience with loss. His name is Jason, the main character, and he's played by Calvin Banks. So the video opens with Jason hooking up with Ben, who is, speaking of people that are experienced, who's the sexy daddy. And just like, so it's played by Will Tantra, Ben. And just like in episode 2, Jason is having trouble getting hard, right? So he's clearly in some sort of situation, whether it's like a hookup or date. He's having trouble getting hard, and so his way of dealing with it is just like in episode 2, where he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go. This isn't working. So he's like walking towards the door, and so there's this line. This is the one thing I wish we would have changed. So there's this line in it where Ben, this like makes me cringe a little bit. So Jason's like reaching for the door, and Ben's like, come on, stay a little while and cuddle with me. Like, how often does a guy like me get to cuddle with a guy like you? And in hindsight, it just feels like, even to see Will Tantra say that, like Will is so sexy and so confident and so smart. Like, I think Jason would be so lucky as to like pull that quality of a man, you know? Like, anyway, I wish we could have changed that in hindsight, but so it just like plays to this whole narrative of like older guys being less desirable.
And Will does cuddle with lots of sexy guys. So
yeah.
Like all the time. Like throwing up in his own mouth as he says it.
It seems so disingenuous. So anyway, so Jason stays and cuddles, and he opens up about his partner dying of cancer, which I know, Matt, you had been wondering this whole time what had happened. So you got your answer.
So anticlimactic, you have no idea.
Really?
I was like, just laying there, cancer, moving on. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
What did you hope for?
I don't know. No, it didn't. I don't know. I just wanted a little bit more. But then at the same time, like back to what you were saying about Will and Will saying that, I will say that I took a lot away from that one statement. And for me, first to the point of what you're saying is him saying like, oh, well, I should be grateful, when in hindsight, he should be, when this guy's trying to run away from him and he's this great guy. But also just this, for a second, I'm like, is he manipulating him? Like, is he playing like that older guy thing, like trying to do whatever he can to keep this young guy here who's just is mentally fragile? Like, what's like happening right now? It's like, now I can't have sex with you. Well, let me try and comfort you. It was just, I don't know. It was a really weird moment.
Like, is he playing like 3D chess here? Like, is it like,
yeah.
Or maybe he's recognizing that like he actually can help Jason, and he's trying to figure out, well, what do I need to say that's going to like give him, it's going to get him back into bed because I know I can actually help this boy.
Well, I will say, as it went on, I didn't think that anymore, but in the moment I thought that.
Okay. Did you also think that like Jason's partner's death was going, like how he died was going to be like actually that Jason had killed him or something? Like, did you think there was going to be some like plot twist that like what were you? Oh, okay.
No. I was asking, like, how did you wish that he died if you could have chosen?
I don't think I had any sort of like idea on how I wish it was going to go or how I knew it was going to go. I just knew that he had a cough, which and I knew that he was dead. And at the end of the day, like I knew that obviously like you weren't going to make it like HIV, AIDS, anything like that. So I was like, okay, well, what is this about to be? Because you had said on a previous process you didn't want to go down that road.
Right. We didn't want to make it HIV and AIDS because it's just, that's like the very obvious card to play. And also this is supposed to take place present day, and while people still die of HIV and AIDS, like there's like other stories that can be told. And we still did weave that element in because Ben then says that he understands like what it's like to lose a partner, and Jason's like, well, how could you? And he's like, actually my partner died of AIDS in the 90s. And they have this like very sweet daddy son like mentoring moment that also makes my nipples lactate. I'm really very lactatious tonight. There's actually a moment when Calvin's like laying on his chest and he just looks up into Ben's eyes with these like puppy dog eyes. Do you remember that look? There's a moment that happens. It's just very like sweet, and I die.
He says, "Dada."
So there's this great quote in the episode when Jason asks if there was ever anyone else after Ben's partner died. I love this. He says, I don't know who fucking wrote this, but they're a genius. He said, there's been lots of someone else's. Some guys I fucked, some guys that I loved, and some guys that I just... Wait, how does he say it? Hang on.
Guys I loved and fucked.
Yep, and some guys I just love to fuck.
Here it is. I just pulled it up in the script because I wasn't doing this right. There have been lots of someone else's. No one like my partner, but guys that I fucked and guys that I loved. Some guys that I fucked and loved, and some guys that I just love fucking. There'll be more for you too. There will be. I like that. So Ben invites Jason to try something, and he basically has, basically it's like a sacred intimate session. It's like a little tantric session, and Ben works through Jason's body in a really loving and supportive way. And I think like you have to look at this episode in the context of last week's episode where Jason's deceased partner like literally tells him to let guys bring him to this place of pleasure, right? It's their place. So I think there's like, because of that previous episode, I think there's like a willingness here for Jason to actually open up a little bit. And he does. He opens up and he really kind of gets lost in the pleasure, and he shoots a huge load all over Ben's beard.
Can I say I was actually expecting you to insert something about that memory? Like because through their exchange, you have these memories of them being intimate. And I was almost expecting that at some point the boyfriend or the husband would be like, our place or something just before he comes, when he's about to come. I was expecting that because I was thinking about that.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, there were a lot of things suggestions that I made that I think come across as too literal. Like you don't need to connect every dot for the audience. Like,
true.
And like when they were having flashbacks, like I had mentioned like a flashback of like a hand on a coffin, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, girl!" Like, you don't need to spell everything out. So I think like I'm hoping that people connect those dots, but we didn't explicitly connect them. But when Jason's then walking down the street afterwards, there is a voiceover from Alex, the dead partner, saying like, and I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but it was something about like promise that you won't die with me, and telling him that he needs to explore, and basically giving him permission to really like continue on with his life and his journey. And now I'm curious if speaking of dots to connect, if you recognize that at this point, okay, he walked by the same house from episode 1. Yeah. Did you know right away?
I knew. It was like, okay, well, I remember that scene. So what was missing from the scene is that he actually walks through the door, or not rings the doorbell at the very least.
Right. Okay. So if you guys remember episode 1, he looks up in the window of this house and he sees two guys having sex, and now we're in the final episode, and he's walking by the same house. He looks up. The guys aren't in the window. Obviously, they don't just have sex in the window all day, but it's the same house. You see very quick flashback, and he pauses, and he kind of like walks up the front steps, and it ends with him pressing the doorbell. Like that's how it ends.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think?
I love that ending.
Yeah. There was an alternate ending.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Really?
Tell me.
So the alternate ending was that he rings the doorbell, and then the two guys answer it, and they smile.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And he goes inside. And again, it's like it's connecting too many dots. It's like making it neat. I love it's like what the hell is that movie? Inception, where the movie ends with the things, the top spinning. Remember that?
Yeah, I don't remember the movie very well, but yes.
He spins the top to know if he's in like the dream world.
Oh, that's right.
And if it stops spinning, then it's a dream world. I don't know. There's some shit that anyway. So he spins it at the end, and it just keeps spinning and spinning, and then the movie ends before you know if it was real or not.
Mm.
Same thing.
No, I thought it was a great ending, and you make a good point about connecting the dots. I never thought of it like that, but I thought the ending was fantastic. So, I mean, overall, I mean, you guys did a fantastic job with this. As you know, I was glued every week. I loved it. I couldn't wait for the next episode to come. I'm sure the listeners felt the same way. Like, really fantastic. I really can't wait for the next project around a series like this.
Really? Oh, that's really encouraging. Thank you. I'm glad that it was fun for you to watch, because it was really fun to make, and it was definitely something different for us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Finn?
About the ending, or about just?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, so it's the finale.
Well, I'll tell you, I did love this project a lot. I had some, I was there. That was amazing. I liked being involved. But from my own self and my own life, when I watched this with my partner, because I had seen it already, but just something about watching it with him, it was like we're watching, a film. And for me, and where I'm at in my own sexual process, I like how it's more integrated, like a lot of erotic content is just like, it's a sex scene or something that's an isolated context outside of life. And I think a lot of men experience sex in that way. Like, it's this box that they check and then go back to their real life, quote unquote. And I love how it's integrated, and it is erotic and it is beautiful, and you're having feelings, and so like, it's to me, it's like represents more of what I really want to stand for in sexuality anyway. It's like, let's cry and then fuck and then have laughter and then, all the different things. And I think that was the coolest part for me to watch it, like I was watching it again for the first time, because I kind of forgot some of the stuff that was in it too. When I watched it, it was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Or I remember,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that like this is not like porn, because it is also like emotional and it's telling a story. And this is not like a Netflix series, because it's explicit, like sex. So it's like, but it's taking what we love from both of those things. It's taking these really hot erotic moments from porn and combining that with like a really interesting story that, maybe you see a reflection of yourself in. And to me, it's like, I love watching Netflix, but I fucking hate every time when the sex happens between the characters, gay or straight, that then the camera like pans over to the fireplace, or pans over to an open window and the birds chirping.
Right.
Like, real life is sex. Like, and that's such a big part of the story. So
yeah, it's so woven in that it's like it's inextricable from the story, like it's, and that's how we experience our life and our relationships, you know?
Yeah, you use sex to process shit. Like in real life, it doesn't pan over to the fucking, birds chirping. Like you have sex and you see dick and cum and ass and pussy.
Yeah. And all that sends such a message too, like on the Netflix thing, it's like it sends such a message that's reinforcing around all of our country's attitudes around sex and appropriateness and all that kind of stuff. And I just loved how this watching it from like an artistic perspective, it did have that blending and even the quality, even the aesthetic quality of it. Because I've seen films too that included sex in them with like plots, but they didn't have this kind of like aesthetic that felt really beautiful, and like you could just kind of go into that world with like good acting, and it was really cool.
We got a comment from someone, actually an email that I got today, and said the finale of the series was more like watching a well-written movie. It was so warm and compassionate. When it ended, I was left feeling like a scene from a dramatic movie. The older guy was so caring and so thoughtful to share his experience from the past with the younger guy. I felt warm all over from his caring, nurturing nature to help him get past the hurt and loneliness of losing someone. This was well written and acted to perfection. It just felt real. I would hope that there are some instances in real life that could be like this. So on that note, 2 announcements. Number 1, we are doing a season 2.
Yeah.
It is going to be a different cast, at least in part, and it's going to be on a very different topic. I think the topic, I guess I can say this. Maybe I already have. I don't know. I can't. It's all a blur. The topic is going to be jealousy. And we're going to have a totally different energy, totally different look and feel to it. Different screenwriter, same director. Also, announcement number 2 is that if you guys haven't, first of all, if you haven't watched it and you really do want to experience it, you should watch it through Himeros TV so you can see the sex. But if that's not an option for you, there is a YouTube-friendly version of Journeys that we're releasing week by week. So I actually just uploaded the first episode today on my YouTube channel. So you can watch it. It's like highly shortened, and there's no butts, there's no dick, there's no cum.
Birds chirping.
Yeah. I mean, we tried not. It's still like somewhat juicy, but within reason. So you guys can check that out. All right, shall we answer some questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Can you say who the screenwriter is for the next one? Is that terrible?
Are you asking for yourself?
Yeah, or season 2? Who's writing it?
Oh, Daniel Cardone.
Oh, fuck yeah, that's awesome. That's what I was thinking. But yeah.
Okay, so question number 1. Dear Davey, I just wanted to send a message and say how wonderful Journeys turned out. Oh, another message. It's fantastic and heartfelt. I honestly don't have words. I was hooked after the first episode and then teared up for the final episode. Beautifully shot, scripted, and told. As you mentioned in the podcast, I'm excited there will be a season 2. Okay, apparently I already did share that. My question, what was one of your favorite parts or moments of the creation of Journeys? And what was your least favorite? Will we get to see any bloopers from behind the scenes, either on Himeros or on YouTube? Looking forward to seeing the next series of Himeros, the next series of videos on Himeros. Keep up the great creative energy. All right, so I guess, Matt, you weren't there when we filmed this. So Finn, you were there. Favorite moment from the creation and least favorite?
God, that's hard. It's really challenging because I don't really have a least favorite moment.
I think my least favorite is seeing Will deliver that line.
Really? Okay, I'll say the least favorite for me personally was being in the basement with that scene because of what it was bringing up in me. Just
this is a straight boy fucking.
Yeah, for my own history and my own life, and when I've been in a place like that, and I was really holding a lot of that on set and just like feeling a lot of those things and trying to be supportive, and couple of conversations that I had with the actors in which they were alluding to very similar places in their lives. So that felt really challenging. Yeah. But favorite part would just be like making interpersonal connections with them and like seeing them open up throughout the week. And it's like it starts out with, people in their own little spheres and then starting to evolve and connect with each other. And by the end of the week, it's like you're on a retreat that you don't want to leave.
Yeah. My favorite moment is very specific, which was when we filmed the couple in the window. Mm-hmm. After we had finished shooting the scene, there was no chance in hell they were going to stop fucking each other. They were having so much fun. They didn't give a shit who was like walking in or out of the room.
I know. I was actually, it was like, should I leave? Because I kind of want to stay, but I was like, oh, the crew left now, so this is really awkward if I just sit here. But I wanted to stay in the room.
Yeah, right. Let's like pop some popcorn and just watch them fuck. And they're so beautiful, like having sex together too. Like it was really nice. All right. Question. I'm gonna skip around here. The question number 2. What is the single best piece of sex advice you've ever received? Matthew Thomas, go.
It's okay to change your mind.
Oh, can you expand on that?
I mean, how many times have we like been in the midst of something where it's like, or we're getting ready to have sex with someone and we're just not feeling it? Yeah. I mean, I know I've been in a place where I felt like, oh my God, I can't say no, or I have to push through, or if I'm not going to have sex, I have to get them off or do something else. And I don't know if I had this conversation with you. I don't know if you were the one who said this to me. You might have been, but it's okay to say no. It's okay to change your mind if you're not feeling it anymore. Like you don't have to do it. And I remember when I was younger, I used to think I had to do it.
Mm-hmm. And that's also like, that's true with a lot of aspects of like consent, that like just because you say yes to it and start doesn't mean that yes has to hold for the entire experience. You can change your mind while you're having sex and be like, you know what? Mm-hmm. Like this isn't working for me. And Finn, we've tried to incorporate that in different ways.
Model it in real time. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually in Sweden too, one of the videos, like they're wearing a condom and then like halfway through they decide not to wear a condom and that wasn't something that we had scripted. That's just actually happened. And so we just filmed it like as they were navigating consent in like real time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really like this question. And I feel, well, kink educator Anton Fullman says in this, I think about this a lot, is the most powerful tool you have is your presence. Because it doesn't matter what kind of like technique or body you have. In my opinion, if you aren't present, it's not really an experience that it just leaves so much out. So being really deeply present can open up so many doors. So I like that advice. And that can go from, you can take that and go anywhere with that.
I think the most powerful tool you have is $1 million cock ring.
Clearly. My first assumption is that he's not that great of a fuck if he's, spending all that money to
never found that one out.
I don't know, compensation, it's like,
Oh, I wish we could say the name.
I mean, and how many people are there that have $1 million cock ring? 2 of them. 2.
All right. He's just really proud of himself. I don't know. I guess I'm an asshole.
No, you're not. You're just trashy.
Yeah. I know I am trashy and I like it.
All right. What is the best single piece of advice that I've ever received? Sex advice. Brad Amberhart, who we work with quite a bit, he said, I asked him this once before, and he said, in all capital letters, it was in an email, he goes, forget about fucking and sucking for a while and just focus on enjoying the fuck out of each other.
Really how true is that?
Yeah,
that's very true.
Right. Yeah. Forget about the fucking and the sucking and the coming and just like, what is it going to look like for the 2 of us or 3 of us or whatever to just enjoy the fuck out of each other? Like, what is going to feel good? And like make that the goal rather than like getting off or, stepping outside of topping and bottoming.
That's awesome.
As promised, we need to ask the faggot question. All right. So, and I'm actually really curious. This is okay. So here's the question. This is really a question for Finn because he's touched on this before, and thank God because I don't have the answer.
You do too.
I'm a very proud gay man who has walked in more than a dozen pride parades around the world. I sometimes even dress in drag. I am out and proud. My issue is that I've recently started hooking up with a guy who talks dirty and often calls me a faggot. It's not that I don't like it. On the contrary, it makes me so hard. When he first said it, I was really uncomfortable. If someone called me a faggot on the street, I would punch them. Yet in the bedroom, I was really turned on. what the fuck is that about? How could I possibly be turned on by such a toxic and terrible word? I'm really uncomfortable with how hot it is to me.
I mean, I think that you both have something to say about this. We talked about this with race issues. Both of y'all. Yeah, we've talked about this with race issues already, and I'm totally happy to dive into this. And I'm, for one of those guys that really likes to hear the word faggot in the right context. But I think it's hard to make, everybody is such an individual. Your own psychology it's imperative to know the roots for this particular person that write the question. Like, at what time in your life did you hear that? In what context? Who said it to you? How did you feel about it whenever you heard that? And what is, because that's going to set up the context that you're overturning in the moment that you're aroused. And everything about fantasy is about overturning some sort of like inhibition that we have. So language itself is a form of fantasy. And using that word, for me, like, it's a, like, identification with the aggressor would be like me, like, calling somebody a faggot and really enjoying the sadism of that. And I kind of like to do that with my partner. But I was called faggot a lot, and it was deeply wounding for me. But in this, now in my fantasies, or now in my bed, nobody's really being hurt there. So it's taking something that used to be very painful and something I was ashamed of and turning it into something that's really thrilling. It's like a healing act. But that's different for somebody else who might not, share the same roots and may feel very unsafe hearing that word. So it's kind of hard to know. It's very individual. But that's what's going on for you. And for you, the writer of this question, the key to all of that would be to explore just, your own sexual development and like how you felt about yourself in context with other men and people that called you that. And I think it's totally normal. The idea of judging yourself for that, though, and saying like it's a horrible word, it's not. I mean, we talked about this before. We're often really thrilled with things that are not civilized or socially acceptable, and that doesn't make it wrong. What that does is it eliminates this need for us to edit everything together in one nice polished package and raise a lot of questions about the roots of desire. And we're animals, really, and there are a lot of emotions that we feel that we like try to hide, trying to be nice people. But the truth is, they really do turn us on. There are guys that turn me on that I don't even like to admit it, because they're, I think they're douchebags, but something about them turns me on.
Can you control that? Like, can you control what turns you on? Can you be like,
no,
you know what? I don't want to be turned on by this guy. Like, I'm trying to think of a better example of something that's even more like frowned upon. Like, if you're absolutely turned on by like something that's going to be unhealthy, like putting a giant objects up your butt. Like,
right. No, you can't control it. In fact, if you try to control it and shame yourself, it makes it more lodged. And the only thing you can do is like, it's like you make graded steps towards something that's more healthy for you. And if you have it's called troublesome turn-ons, right? If your turn-on is like something that leads you into harm all the time in your life, it takes work with a trained professional to help you move away from that. But it has to be like slow steps, and it can't be like governed by shame and like, I'm a bad person and I can't believe. It has to be like something pulling you. Like, I would like to experience, sex with someone that doesn't end in tragedy for me, or, and just kind of working slowly to build your self-esteem.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that struggle with turn-ons that they don't share because the world judges them for it, or it potentially does put them in harm's way.
There's I know I said we weren't going to talk about it today, this podcast, but you guys have to watch the latest episode of Dave Chappelle did a Netflix special called Sticks and Stones.
Mm-hmm.
And in it, like, there's probably a 15-minute segment where he talks about like LGBT people and how when he was doing the Dave Chappelle show, he wanted to make a joke where he used the word faggot and the network said he couldn't do it.
Mm.
And he was like, well, you're clearly comfortable with me saying the N-word.
Mm.
So like, why can't I say faggot? And they were like, well, because you're not gay. And he was like, well, I'm not the N-word either. And anyway, it's just this really, I actually think that the point he makes and the humor he uses is actually like, feels to me pretty outdated. It's like a 2003 like series of like, kind of, I don't know, I just think that like when I watch the show, I'm curious what you guys think of it. You should watch it at some point. But I just kept thinking to myself, man, this is not going to age well. When you watch like humor from like 20 years ago,
right,
and you're just like, ooh,
yeah, like how did this even get a snicker?
Yeah, like it's tough. All right, so
I just am curious, do either one of you like to be called faggot? Like if it was like in a sexual situation that was already really thrilling to you?
Dave?
yeah, I would, but I also wouldn't like feel weird about it. I'd be like, like call me a faggot, tell me you want to like destroy my pussy, like call my ass a cunt. Like I don't care. I'm gonna be into it. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Matt?
No.
You also don't enjoy being dominated, right? Like
I think that there's I think I am learning there are a lot of things that I do enjoy, and I probably have kept them at arm's length just because I don't want to go down that road for different reasons in my 35 years. But there are a lot of things that I do enjoy. And I say, if you like being called a faggot, do what you want behind closed doors. That's between you and the person that you're with. But I mean, we touched on the N-word too. Like for me, like I don't want to be called that. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Yeah. Do what you want, do what makes you happy, but yeah, no, not for me.
Yeah. And there's a lot of context to all of that. Like I think if it was a straight guy calling me a faggot while I'm like sucking his dick, would I still be into it? I don't know. Like
the intent, you know.
Yeah.
Everything.
I think for me, it's that, you know, what happens behind closed doors is fine. It's just that when that stuff does come to light, it's like, where do you draw the line, you know? Because I laugh. Why?
What are you doing, I laugh because behind closed doors, it reminds me of like my mother talking about sex to me.
I don't know. I just say you do what you want. I think even like around the N-word, I'm applying what you were saying earlier about, you know, about something about like giving something power and like turning it around to have like a different meaning, like the word faggot. I was thinking about that in the context of the N-word. And for me, it's like, quite honestly, I think that it's stupid that the word is still in circulation. I'm like, using that as a form of empowerment or to change the meaning, to me, it's stupid. So, you know, I was thinking about it in the same contents of the word faggot, but I also at the same time respect people's right to do and say whatever they want. You know, I don't really take it beyond that, but I don't know. For me, it's like, I wish that neither word was in circulation. People are bullied over that. People go home and kids cry themselves to sleep. People have committed suicide because of teasing and being called things like that. So for me, it's like, on one hand, yeah, I get what you're saying about the word, but for me, it's like what the word has also meant to people that it's hurt. To me, it's just it shouldn't be in circulation. It's not worth it.
Yeah, and
maybe I'm taking it too deep. I don't know.
Yeah,
no, I hear that.
And I mean, like for you, like as a Black guy, like that's a conversation like you can, especially regarding the N-word, like that you can have that you can make for yourself. Like for me, as a like, it's just not in the cards for me. But faggot, like that's a word that I think like I have some ownership of, and like I enjoy the way that Finn framed it as like I can't remember exactly how you said it, but basically kind of like essentially reclaiming it for yourself.
Yeah. Because it's a word, right? Like every word is a symbol for like a set of connotations and like implied meanings. And so from, people that feel empowered by that, it's like saying, yeah, I hid from this so much. And this is exactly how I feel. And I am those things. And I'm
right. And this fag is going to suck that fucking dick.
And I enjoy it so much. And I'm not hiding about it, And people, on different degrees, like the word slut, it's like people really have claimed that word now. And it's like this, it's really common. And, but you used to, that was like a really insulting word to say to somebody,
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying too, Matt. Like, I think it's just a complex issue, and it's very individual. It's not something you just throw around.
Cool. Well, I'm glad we solved all the world's problems tonight.
Right.
Next week, we're going to discuss a video called Mummification, which I'm excited about. I'm really excited about the video after that, though, which is Overheard. It's called Overheard. And it's going to be the first video that y'all are seeing from the series that we shot in Sweden. So, Finn, where can people find you?
FinnDeerhart.com, FinnDeerhart.com.
He really likes getting those emails, so keep them coming.
I love them, but I've been getting some trash emails.
Actually, while I'm thinking of it, make sure you guys rate. Just do right now. It's the end of the podcast. Make sure you rate the podcast because it actually does help us get new people into the conversation and leave a review if you can. Matt, where can people get you?
Right here next week. Same time, same place.
Remember to visit himeros.tv/pod to save 20% off your himeros.tv membership, whether you join for a month, 3 months, or a year, you get 20% off. Thank you guys so much for listening. And as always, more to come.